Today we'll be talking with Gerwin, Marcus, and Stavrola all about automation with Robot Framework. They're 3 seasoned experts and also enthusiasts about the Robot Framework. And they are going to be speaking at the next RoboCon. I think it's the 8th annual one happening in Helsinki. So if you want a good reason to go to Helsinki and want a good reason to do so, and want to grab a ticket now, head on over to robocon.io and you'll be able to experience these speakers live and in person. You don't want to miss it. Check it out using the link down below. Hey everyone, welcome to the Guild.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hey, great to have you all. Really curious to know before we get into it, there's so many tools out there. Why the Robot Framework? So I'll go how I see left to right. Gerwin, any thoughts? Like, how did you experience Robot Framework and how did you become like almost an enthusiast about it?
So for me, it was mostly, I wanted to do test automation, but I didn't want to focus on the programming of the language so much. And Robot Framework allowed me to actually do sort of the programming without actually doing the nitty-gritty details of it. And that sped up my work a lot, which is why I started using it.
Very nice. How about you, Marcus?
I found it by accident. So I thought I was a Java developer and thought I wanted to build something with JBehave. And then I joined this company and they used something called Robot Framework. And I was like, what's that? Never heard about. I will go for JBehave and kick Robot Framework out. But then the first day they showed this to me and I was like, oh, this is what I wanted to do. And since then, I did not have any reason to switch. So whenever there is like a challenge, because it is a framework, it is very open, it has a very open API, then I can build some glue code, or usually I find someone in the community who already did this for me. So there is no, up to now, after 8 years, I didn't find any showstopper.
Okay, so I've been working in Nokia since 2009. And about half a year later, Pekka, Clark, and Ismo came and they said, oh, here's Robot Framework. And this is how you will do automation right now. Because before that, we were like writing scripts. It was totally chaos. And then suddenly they were like, oh, they are the Finns who came to teach us something new. Wow. And then we're all excited and that's it. It's a short story, but.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so Stacy, I mean, you started from the ground zero then, because it sounds like that's like
Yes.
pretty much when it started.
Yes, almost. I think Pekka finished his thesis. The Robot Framework first was around 2008, 8-ish. So immediately, and Nokia believed in our automation tool.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that in 2005, I think it was the first version. So like the upcoming RoboCon that we're having is going to be 20 years till date. And that means that's why the theme is going to be like from Finland with love.
Is when it started. It was when it started being implemented, but it was finished, I think, around 2008, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's a testament to how it's still being used at a company 20 years after the fact. A lot of times people try the latest and greatest and it doesn't work for them when you have a tried and true framework. So one thing I've noticed is for some reason, maybe it's just in the US, it doesn't seem Robot Framework gets as much love as some of the old other tools. I'm always shocked when I host RoboCon because it seems like it does everything. So any thoughts on why maybe people may not know as much about Robot Framework as I think they should? I don't know, Stacy, I think you just did a meetup in Athens and it looked very successful. Any thoughts on how to get people more aware of it?
I think we just need to have more of these events and going to more conferences and advertising it, because I don't think people know about it, especially here in Greece, or they are a bit afraid of using it because they are saying, okay, I'm doing something very specific. I will use Java or I will just plain Python. But they don't understand that it's easier to use Robot Framework. Everything is implemented. They don't have to implement everything from scratch again.
I also think that probably other tools probably have like a company behind it, even though maybe they have like an open source model. They also have a company behind it and they have a business model and they need to earn money. So they also invest into marketing. Behind Robot Framework is the Robot Framework Foundation. And we have like really, really tight budget and we just use it like for funding ecosystem projects, creating the conference and funding the core development of Robot Framework. But we don't have like a huge amount of budget for doing marketing or market research or something. So we actually don't know how popular it is. It just happens in the we only have like indicators like download counts or site visits and so on. But it happens, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, when you go out and talk to people, then suddenly they say, by the way, we use this thing called Robot Framework. And I'm saying, oh, I know this, by the way. So suddenly you get these feedback loops. You're suddenly not the only one anymore. So I assume it grew organically over the past few years, over the past maybe 20 years. And now in the past 3-4 years, it's like really accelerating and going through the roof from our perspective.
Another perspective that you could look at is that what Robot Framework does is provide an abstraction layer above the technology that is used by a lot of people. So, for example, let's take Playwright. The technology is very popular, very present, and a lot of people know how to use it. But what Robot Framework does is sit above that technology, make it more accessible by providing keywords to drive Playwright. So when we're talking about Robot Framework, a lot of people tend to confuse the underlying technology with Robot Framework or the other way around. And that also makes the conversation sometimes a bit difficult because you want to first separate the two before you start continuing on with the conversation.
No, it's a great point. Playwright is the hot new tool, and a lot of people think that choosing between Robot Framework and Selenium or Playwright, and it's not true. You're actually getting a benefit or a bonus on top of it almost, it seems like.
That is correct. So, for example, if you use Robot Framework in a specific situation, you can actually say, I would like to use the Selenium technology, but you can also switch that out completely and go to the Playwright technology and not have any additional work for it.
I think it's always difficult for new users to grasp what Robot Framework actually does. So when you are a front-end developer and you want to test your website, you probably go with plain Playwright because that's the challenge you have, and you know probably TypeScript or JavaScript, whatever front-end language you use, and then you go with this particular tool, Playwright. And if you remain a team like this, that you are only front-end developers and you are front-end developers testing front-ends, then you're probably better off with Playwright. But as soon as you have someone in there, like a QA team, that its primary focus is not front-end development, but like assessing requirements and testing requirements, you have like a different group of people there. They are no developers. And then you need like a common ground, and that is then Robot Framework. And then also, once those people come in, they probably don't only test your front end, they also maybe test your back end, and they make some end-to-end tests, and suddenly you don't have only web automation, but maybe other disciplines as well. Maybe you even need to automate some desktop application. Who knows what freaking integration you need. And then as soon as you need if you have to access a different system under test, then Playwright won't be enough anymore. So you need some other backend. And Robot Framework just brings these libraries in, and you can switch between web browser and desktop application and mobile and database and so on, like in one test case, if you like.
It's exactly. In my company, we have to test so many different things. We have to test servers, web pages, different interfaces, and REST, CLI, NetConf, SNMP. And all of this is done with the Robot Framework really easily. And the good thing is that it's global over the company, and every product uses that. And they say there's no other framework. That's it. We totally love it. No, it's true.
I know when you think about it, it is kind of true because a lot of the frameworks just do browsers, and this is more like end-to-end testing, and it's able to handle pretty much when you work at an enterprise like the company you work at, Stacy. It probably handles pretty much all your testing needs, so you don't have to try to glue all these other technologies together. It's already glued for you and working smoothly, it sounds like.
And the good part is that you can also implement your own library. If something is not covered and you have something like a really local need, you can just do that and implement a keyword and just integrate it easily.
That's a good point, because you work and I think in R&D, correct? So I assume you're working with technology sometimes that isn't very common. So is that something you do all the time?
You mean the create our own library? Yes.
Yeah.
For some things we do. For example, we have to handle external instruments, so we have to have global remote commands for this. So we have to create keywords and functions for that. So it's easier for us, and we just integrate it in our test.
Love it. Love it. All right. So obviously this is a framework that's very useful. It's been around for 20 years, and I think people should know more about it. And that's why I'm really excited about the Helsinki event, the 8th annual RoboCon. So that maybe we dive into maybe how you're going to be, pretty much what you're going to be doing there, where your sessions are. So I think we'd start with you, Gerwin. Are you doing a session on the joys of robot framework? What's your session going to be about?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I first my first RoboCon was in 2024, and I was super excited about it, and heard a few of these talks, and I wanted to share my excitement with people and give back to the community, so to speak. And one of the things that really struck me is how much joy people were getting from the event, but also from just me using it as well. And I wanted to go through that process step by step and share like why people get so excited by it. Like when you start out, or when you start learning about it, or when you make it more context specific, and finally when you give back and start contributing, what are reasons why people would continue onwards with it and stick with it?
So maybe what's the main reason, or the two main reasons, without giving away your whole session?
I feel that like the core, and Ed Manlove would completely agree with this, is the community. Like the people that surround the ecosystem that Robo Framework has is just, it's such a friendly environment, and it just is such an encouraging environment where you just keep finding help, and they keep giving ideas. And I feel that is the main core. Yeah, that's the core of the and the heart of my talk, honestly.
Love it. So Marcus, I think this could be the 3rd or 4th year I'm hosting the online event, and I know you've been involved pretty much at every single one. So why what's your session going to be on, and why does it seem like you come back for more every year?
Oh, so my session will be, I will give a workshop together with Asko Soka from the University of Jyväskylä. We will automate distributed robot framework workloads and orchestrate them with the BPN workflow engine, which is like a really cool thing to do. So like process visualization and so on and so forth. And we will orchestrate complex test workflows. Why I do this every year? Yes, I have been there at the first RoboCon online. I remember that one very well with you. But my first one was in 2019. And until then, I was in this small 5-people team. I had this tool that I just knew for a year, Robot Framework, and I thought it's like some rogue tool from the internet. And it was working very well, and I was pondering my head about challenges and so on, and we found solutions and made some and utilized the tool. Then I went to the conference, and then I realized, wow, it's not just a small tool. It's just not me and my 4 colleagues or something. It's like a worldwide thing. I'm not the only one, and everyone is like having similar challenges. Maybe they already solved it, or they didn't solve it yet, and they are excited to talk to me, or they even solved it, their challenge in a better way, and I can go home and say, listen to those people from the other company. They did it this way, and now we have the context, and now then the community is like connecting and growing, and that was like mind-blowing. I was thinking I would go to some tech conference and just listen to really sophisticated talks, but it was everyone is there on stage as an engineer who has an engineering background and did something with the tool and just presents the use case and the learnings. And you go back home with a backpack full of new ideas and impulses and nudges. It's amazing. It's my highlight of the year.
Awesome. And Stacy? We're going to be doing a RoboCon. You seem really fun, a lot of energy. Are you bringing that energy and awesomeness to the event?
Of course, I'll be in the front side, the after party. Come and find me there.
Yes, you should.
Also in the coffee breaks, I'll be around. But after party, sure. I'll bring Uzo.
Stacy, do you have a session? Or are you part of the committee that's going on?
No, I'm just enthusiast. I'm just an enthusiast. I love the energy that the RoboCon gives me, and I truly believe in the framework and it's in its people. So I just want to participate, and I just want to help however I can.
Awesome. So are there any sessions or speakers that you see that you're like, oh, I can't wait to see this session or speaker in person?
All of them. I I really and no. I really because I can listen to old speakers, which I know, but I'm really excited for new speakers. I'm really excited about you, Gerv. Can't wait to see you online. And
So, Stacy, you have a lot of experience. So, someone with as much experience as you have with Robot Framework, do you still learn something new when you go to these events?
yes, of course. We were a bit cut off because in Greece nobody used to use robot framework, so we were a bit cut off of the community. So I bumped into the RoboCon 2019. So and I'm like, oh, I missed that. How can I attend? So I really tried, and I got a free ticket from RoboCon, and I joined 2020. And it was like for me, I was like a kid going to Disney World. I'm like, oh, I'm super excited, but feel so small and insignificant. What all these people there know so much. They're experts. I don't know anything about that. But I get to know people. I got to see. I remember I met Rene the first week who spoke about Diadriver. He spoke about Diadriver. He replaced that, and I'm like, oh, I just did something like that. I want to talk to him how to do that. So I talked to him about the coffee break, and he sat down with me, and we just did some coding, and it blew my mind. I'm like, wow, they're just people so enthusiastic, and they support this, and I can ask questions, I can learn from them. So ever since I'm going there all the time, and I don't miss it for the world. And because I like to, every time I learn something new, every time, or I meet a new person, I meet their experiences, we debug online or side by side, and that's it. I love it.
So yes, I can just underline this. So I also learn every time something new. So because I only know like the business where I'm working in and how I apply Robot Framework, but since it is so universal, you learn at events like RoboCon. You learn also the other use cases. For instance, Stavrola had a really nice use case where they have to provide the same functionality through different interfaces. So they have to have the same test case, but with different implementations of the test steps. But the test specification has to remain the same. And this is something that I never came across and never crossed my mind. This challenge. Usually in my fields, it's like you have one interface that has to be enough. You don't provide the same stuff over 5 interfaces. And then she was explaining in a talk like how she and her team solved that. And that's also like triggered. Maybe I don't have this use case yet, but how they solved it, that was a very neat thing that I take with me in my backpack. And then now I can take it out whenever I have a challenge to think, I could use this idea.
Yeah, one of the talks that we had in the 2024 was, for example, how to adjust reporting to make it more accessible to management. It's not particularly a problem for me. I love more logs. Let's have all the logs and all the entries in it. But someone at the bank actually changed their logs to make it more accessible for management to read it. And that's a use case that you would usually not bump into, but they made like a piece of functionality that people could access and showcased it to the rest of the Robot Framework community, allowing other people to go like, I can use Robot Framework, and people that wouldn't use it still would understand what comes out of it, which I think is like an excellent way of learning new things and how to use it.
Absolutely. So I know on the online event, I assume they do this on site, is the last day is dedicated to, I forget what they call it. It's like a hands-on session where you can almost do like group coding or group mentoring, I think, or like is that, Marcus, you're shaking your head. Do you know, do you know what that's called or what I'm talking about?
Yes. So in the on-site event, this is called the Community Day. And this year it happened. It's the first day of the conference. So we have the conference on Thursday, Friday. On Wednesday are the workshops, and on Tuesday is the Community Day. So everyone who's already in town goes there, and either it's like an open space. You bring your topic, you ask questions. Maybe you find people who have the same challenges as you are, and then you debate or even code a solution, or you even have like a proof of concept of a new library, of a new approach or something, and then you find people who are interested, and then you sit together and do some live coding. And in the end, you present it. And this time there will be on Friday afternoon, the slot before the last, I think, there will be lightning talks. So if you have created something cool and would like to grow your audience on a topic that you have developed during the community day, you can pitch it there in 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know how long the lightning talks are, but you can pitch it there and get immediate feedback. And if you are afraid of going on stage and pitching something, I think RoboCon is the best place to learn or to try out being on stage, because there are people like you, even when you stumble, or if you say the wrong word, or you forget a word, or you breathe really fast or something because you're nervous, something, everyone there feels with you. And you always get positive feedback. There have been talks where I thought, oh, this wasn't really necessary. But when I talk with people afterwards, with the audience, there was always, every talk had like their fan group. So there's always only positive feedback, and it's a really great place to learn being on stage. If you have stage fright, go to RoboCon. That's the best medicine.
The Uncon first day, or as they call it, is very community driven, and is personally one of the highlights for me, because it's very informal, and people actually vote with their feet. If you are no longer interested in a subject, you can just walk to a different one. It's very open, and therefore allows for a lot of creativity and a lot of feedback around you. And you always get surprised with the topics that people raise, and learn a lot from it as well. It's a much more accessible format than when you do just a presentation for a group of over 300 people.
Love it. And it sounds like, Stacy, based on your experience, like you said, you were there at one of them and you talked to Renee, you met him. It seemed like people really, are they open to being approached and like helping people out? I'm an introvert, so I'd be terrified, but it sounds like that's not the experience. Maybe that it's like at RoboCon.
Yes. It's in the beginning you think they're like, oh, they're like the rock stars of a band. So like,
Right.
oh, I have to be really careful with what I say. Then you turn out, hey, they're just like coders, like, test engineers, that's like you. So you come and you say, hey, can I ask you about something? He said, yeah, sure, of course. So, and everybody's so willing to help you out and also to share their experiences to try to solve your problem. And I think that's the amazing thing about it. That's the most important thing, that you find other people who might have the same problems, who have a solution, who have tried other solutions, and they can guide you through that. And you can totally ask anybody for help, anybody. Just like people walking by in the coffee break, hey, can I ask you? Yes, you can ask it, no problem.
We have no bouncers at this event, as far as I'm aware, anyway.
Yeah. So they are really no rock stars. But if you are from outside and you go there for the first time, of course you have this respect approaching these people. So I remember that when I went to my first RoboCon, we had a pull request provided earlier that year, and Tatu Altu who was like the king of the Selenium library back in the days. He had discussed the pull request and finally had approved it. And then at the after party, I happened to sit next to him. We both drinking beer, and I was like really nervous because he was like Mr. Selenium Library. And then I talked with him about the pull request and like mentioned it. And he said, "Oh yeah, I remember that pull request." And then we had like a really nice conversation. And I realized during the conversation, he's like me. I mean, he does something he's really passionate about, but he's just a normal guy, and you can be really casual with him.
I think that's also one of the bigger advantages of RoboCon, is that you meet the people that are behind the GitHub handle. So when you're raising issues, it's always a bit scary. Like, am I going to get my head chewed off or not? And then it turns out they're very nice online. And then as you meet them online, you have that distance. But once you then meet the people on site in face to face in person, it just is a similar experience, and it's just wonderful. I can recommend it for anyone.
All right. So one thing about if someone's never been to Helsinki, can you give me one thing of why they definitely want to go to the on-site event happening? Go to robocon.io to get your ticket for the on-site version in Helsinki. Stacy, is it any different from Athens? Like, what makes you think, oh, Helsinki, I can't wait for this one thing is going to be off the hook because it's in Helsinki?
For me, the most important thing is that it's going to be, I will actually meet the people and I will have to interact. And each time you meet a person, it's totally different. You have a different magic about it. There's a moment you share. There's a bond. You can, you're not afraid to ask something because it's not written and it won't stay online all the time, forever and haunt you all the time because you ask the stupid questions. Because there you say, there's no stupid questions. You're not afraid. You just say, hey, maybe it could be stupid, but can I ask you something? And apart from that, for me is, Helsinki. I love Helsinki. I used to study, as an exchange student. And for me, I just love being there, being the architecture, saunas, snow, cold, of course. I love cold. And I can't wait to see you there.
Yes, so adding to that, maybe being away. So the RoboCon online is also a good experience, but you still can easier hide behind your screen and not interact. And here you will bump into someone at the buffet or something, at lunch or something, and exchange something, or someone makes a comment about your swag that you're wearing, something, and then you immediately have a connection. And probably most important is work cannot interrupt your visit there, so you don't have a Teams open on the side of your screen and they interrupting the talk that you're streaming, and you cannot say, you know what, I just work now for the next half an hour and I will look the recording afterwards. And we all know this happens in 10 cases that you watch the recording afterwards.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely to just get inspired with the group of people that are there, to just gain more insights, to just have that idea of this is how solutions can be implemented as well. And to just talk about work without actually being I don't know, considered weird.
So you don't just go to the conference. It's like a magnifier. So if you go to the online event, of course you're together with the other people all the time. But it's different if you are together with the people all the time on site. So everyone's in this 2, 3, 4 days process of thinking about their work challenges, getting really excited, maybe building something, maybe even presenting their results in the lightning talk in the end. And since everyone there is most of the people are a foreigner, I don't know why my camera now is blurring. Anyway, everyone is there for a visit, so everyone has to go somewhere for dinner, has to go somewhere for lunch or something. So you also connect afterwards. So after this week, usually I really need 2 or 3 days of holiday because I was under excitement for such a long time. Yes, it was exciting, but it was also about work, and I need some time to cool down afterwards because it was just so much adrenaline and excitement for such a long time.
Great, and I highly recommend everyone check out the on-site experience in Helsinki using the link down below. Thanks again for your automation awesomeness. For links to everything of value we covered in this episode, head on over to testguild.com/A529. And if the show has helped you in any way, why not rate it and review it in iTunes? Reviews really help in the rankings of the show, and I read each and every one of them. So that's it for this episode of the Test Guild Automation Podcast. I'm Joe, and my mission is to help you succeed with creating end-to-end, full-stack automation awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers. Hey, thank you for tuning in. It's incredible to connect with close to 400,000 followers across all our platforms and over 40,000 email subscribers who are at the forefront of automation, testing, and DevOps. If you haven't yet, join our vibrant community at testguild.com, where you become part of our elite circle driving innovation in software testing and automation. And if you're a tool provider or have a service looking to empower our guild with solutions that elevate skills and tackle real-world challenges, we're excited to collaborate. Visit testguild.info to explore how we can create transformative experiences together. Let's push the boundaries of what we can achieve.
The Test Guild Automation Testing Podcast. With lutes and lyres the bards began their song. A tune of knowledge, a melody of code. Through the air it spread like wildfire through the land. guiding tester, showing the secrets to behold.